that's a skill set that you just you work your entire life on to freely express yourself on the right side of the kit against that left foot that can never budge or stop.
And that's just with doing quarter notes with my right hand or whatever. And then, so I brought that, started studying with T-Mac, took over, and he was like, what do you want to work on? I was like, well, I've been trying to do this left foot clave stuff. So then he's like, okay, well, let's do, you got it.
That's just with quarters on my right hand, though.
Yeah.
I've always had like a draw to that kind of music. Like,
heck yeah.
I love, like, my latest flavor is all things Southern Florida, South Florida, Miami, Courtney, not so much, but I'd love, like, in our future to visit it more. I'd like to maybe stay on Ocean Drive, in that area where all the buildings are different neon colors and stuff like that. And just spend a night just going to see those clubs and those players. I mean, I really have a desire just to immerse myself into that culture.
This is the Rich Redmond Show.
What's up, folks? Yep, it's that time. Are you excited? Do you feel it? Do you feel it in your loins? It's time for another exciting episode of the Rich Redmond Show, where we talk about things like music, motivation, success. Usually it's three drummers sitting down. Jim McCarthy, JimMcCarthyVoiceovers.com is that third drummer.
The third guy.
Well, dude, the thing is that everyone knows that you are the brains behind this operation. I mean, I come in with my coiffed hair. I got a couple of questions. What's your favorite drink? What's your favorite color? But you're the guy that's like pushing the buttons, and you're like doing the editing, and you're doing the file management. So thank you.
I have coiffed hair.
Yeah, it's looking good these days.
You like it?
Usually you hide it under some sort of
it's thinning
pork pie hat or something.
And I'm basically
no, it's coming back.
It's a scally, and I think my beard is just about all white at this point. Do I need to color it?
No, well, that's the funny thing is that when I Lego my hair, I color it, and then I got all this white on my face.
You what your hair?
I Legoize it. Like a Lego man. He's got a hair helmet.
Right.
Yeah.
Is that what that is?
Well, I tried going softer for a while, like just kind of like a super dark brown. Yeah. I didn't like it. It reminded me of like Zira from the Planet of the Apes. I was like, I want darker hair. So I just been shellacking it.
If you look back at All Things Rich on Facebook, you'll find all sorts of, you did the buzz cut for a while.
Yep.
And then you had just kind of let it, go in all sorts of different directions.
Yeah.
And then, which wasn't a bad look.
I like the gray. The gray was very, very nice. But hey, music is a young man's game, so I broke out, like I said, the shellac.
Which is you're still young. And then, but moving forward though, the Antonio Banderas.
You want me to do like a man bun in the back?
Like the ponytail, maybe not a man bun. Slick it all back, and like a Steven Seagal.
I know it works for me.
Right?
It's some version of this. But anyways, hey, let's get into it because there is a great drummer with us today. As always, this was long overdue. Hailing from Fort Bragg, California, calling Nashville home for 10 years. He's just about a month ago celebrated 10 years in Nashville, and he's been the drummer with Muscadine Bloodline, based right here in Nashville. Our friend, Zoltan Tobak. What's up, buddy? Dude, get on that mic a little bit.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. Come on. So you're wearing the vintage Sabian hoodie.
Yeah, I think I got this one in high school actually. So it's probably 12, 13 years old.
Yeah, I was going to say for you, that's not too long ago. It's a couple of presidencies. Yeah. But it's great to see you.
Great to see you too.
I've been talking about it on the podcast. I moved south. There's just been migration moving south to Spring Hill, Tennessee, to Columbia, Tennessee. Yeah. You're in Columbia, Tennessee. I ran into you at the overpriced grocery store in Spring Hill, but we love it because shopping is a real pleasure there at the Publix. And I ran into you and I was like, dude, oh my God, it's so great to see you. And we were blocking all the traffic in the frozen food aisle, and we were catching up. And my gal was like, "What took you so long? You just ran out for some toilet paper." I was like, "No, I ran into a drummer, buddy, and you know how that is." And I said, "Come and talk to us on the podcast about your thing." And I wanted to make sure that I was pronouncing your name correctly because it's so unique. I've never met another Zoltan, and you said it was a Zoltan.
Yeah, so
Hungarian.
I think the Hungarian pronunciation, would be Zoltan. But
you don't have the accent though.
Zoltan. I do not have the accent, which is funny because when I spent 2 weeks in Hungary in 2019. And I know a little bit of Hungarian.
Did you like it, the homeland?
It was great. It was good. I mean, I've got cousins there. My grandmother was there. So got a good bit of, my grandmother was one of 10. So I got a good bit of family there. But I'd be ordering coffee in Hungarian and stuff. And they'd be like, oh, like, it's weird because like you pronounce it right, but like you don't speak Hungarian. And I've then and here in the US is like, oh, my name's this very foreign Eastern European name, but no European accent. I am very much, born in California and lived in the US my entire life.
Yeah, man. So,
I've been on a protein diet.
Yeah.
And it's making me feel quite hungry.
Oh, good. That's a real dad joke.
I bet you never heard that
before.
But I'll tell you, Z, we can't call you Z because like Zorro, a lot of guys call Zorro Z, but the guys on your bus call you Z?
They call me Zolty. Seems to be the most popular one.
That works because I was mentioning our buddy, Nick Buda, but everyone calls him Nick Buda.
Yeah.
But Zoltan is very Southern. It's like, so
I'll get Zoltan or Zoltan or whatever. And it's like, I'm not going to correct or care enough to correct anybody about how they say my name. If it starts with a Z, I'm going to say, one of my wife's friends says, Zoloft. So, and I'm like,
so you're a newlywed pretty much, right?
Yeah. Celebrated 1 year in September, about, I guess, 3 or 4 months ago.
Congrats.
Now.
Did you guys do something big for the 1 year anniversary? Is that where you can, when is it where you take the frozen cake from the freezer and eat it again? Or how many?
First year.
Oh man, we did. I didn't even know that was a thing. We did not do that.
Yeah.
We were supposed to be together for our 1 year anniversary, which, as you know, as a touring musician, you miss a lot of birthdays.
Yeah.
Stuff. Ended up we had to reschedule because of a tour that came up last minute.
But maybe you went to one of the nice bougie restaurants that's popping up in Columbia.
We actually went to Circa here in Thompson Station, so right down the. It's great. We're a big fan. So
I keep hearing about Circa because my friend,
place.
Yeah, my friend Pete Coleman, he's been our engineer forever and ever. He also tracked my Sharona. He's the actual guy that put the mics on the drums and press record a little bit of music history. And he's like, let's go to Circa, love. You love it. And I was like, great. And then I'm heading there and I call him. I'm like, dude, it's closed. It's like, because it was like January 3rd or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
For like a cleaning. I guess they take the first week of the year off or something.
Maybe.
Because, owning a restaurant is a total ball and chain. I mean,
not a business I'd want to
I can't imagine. I mean, I love cooking. I would hate to work in a restaurant.
What are some of your dishes? Do you cook healthy or are you just like, oh, let's add some more cream?
I try to stay away from the cream. I'd say like generally like healthy-ish, but not necessarily. I'm not like doing boiled chicken breast and white rice, that kind of thing.
Out of
but
the can,
I honestly cook a lot of Hungarian food,
Nice.
oddly enough. But also I got some steaks at the house that I'm gonna be grilling up here this evening. So,
nice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, what kind of steaks?
I'm doing a flank steak tonight on the
Nice.
grill. Yeah.
Now, what's your address?
It is one.
Another dad joke. There you go.
I'd love to try some Hungarian food. I really don't know. Actually, I think some of the Christmas cookies that my mom has a tradition in our family are Hungarian. They're like these little.
Is it like an apricot jelly on it? Yes. Oh man. Those actually weren't my favorite growing up, but I have had them pop up. They actually had some in catering on the tour I did in the fall.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, it tastes like home.
So now take us back home Take us back to the beginning. We met on Twitter.
Twitter, yeah. And I guess early 2014,
We started
late
chatting it up.
2013. I think I just tweeted at you.
Nice.
I think you were doing doing a clinic at MI.
Yes.
And I had already been in touch with Chris Fryer of Zach Brown Band.
Yeah, we love Chris.
And kind of between you guys, I was kind of the push to move to Nashville. But yeah, we met I think the first time at Musicians Institute.
At a clinic, right?
At a clinic.
Yeah.
And we had,
in the big room.
Had talked on, yep. Mm-hmm. And we had been chatting on Twitter Twitter already at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, I guess you had I'm flattered to be in the mix. Me and Chris, that's a really cool thing. So, and I remember seeing a video of you in 2015, which is, you need more YouTube videos, but it was you in one of the teaching rooms at MI with 2 cameras, and you were playing along to the band Perry.
Oh man.
Better Dig 2.
Yeah. That was I think that was the one and done, the one drum cover I did.
and you got some positive feedback from people, and you're like, hey kid, you know how to play a song and stay out of the way. And I mean, it's like the balance between the limbs, and you just you have a nice, you're a song drummer, you're a pocket drummer.
I appreciate that, and that's definitely what I try to achieve.
Nice, man. And so what was the impetus to come from Nashville?
What does that mean?
Was that 2015?
What's
end of
impetus mean?
Impetus means the point of the spear, the driving force, the reason.
Okay.
Right?
Why'd you say the reason?
Yeah, the reason. Well, I was finding what it really meant.
I learned the word nebulous from you.
Oh yeah, nebulous. Nebulous means like, where is it, man? It's murky. It's like the galaxy. It's like, let's pinpoint, let's laser focus your intentionality in your drumming.
Right. Because
some people are just like, just
like
throwing away notes.
That's right. What is a word that you use, Zoltan?
Ooh.
That's like a very academic word that you never thought, you heard it once, you immediately understood what it meant, but you use it in your everyday vernacular.
I wouldn't say
vernacular.
My everyday, but I did pull out Juxtaposition yesterday, and my wife was very impressed. She's like, "That's a big word." I'm like, "Oh yeah."
Wait. So you're newlywed. Was she impressed? If you know what I mean? Yeah.
So, but now what is? She's not an old lady yet, but what does your old lady do?
So she works in the animal health world. She works for Hill's Pet Food, and she's actually in Kansas City currently doing some work meetings and whatnot. So, definitely a
gainfully employed woman. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, sorry, partner, wife. Yes. Yeah. But it's good because you see she works in the animal world. She could have been like an animal laboratory tester or something. It's like, we're going to work with the chimps today.
Yeah.
So what is she have to go out to Kansas City a lot?
So her company is based in Kansas City. She'll be out there, actually next week as well.
Yeah.
So she goes there a few times a year. And then she also will go to like different trade shows. Like, they have one called Super Zoo that it's like NAMM show, but for like vets and animal health people. And
dude, it's crazy.
I would love to go. Like,
Everyone's
she sends me pictures.
Everyone's got a show.
Everyone's got a trade show.
Yeah. Like the amusement industry's got its own. It's massive.
Yeah.
It's called IAPA. It's massive. It's huge.
Yeah, people were like, "Hey, man, what's your roller coaster like? Is it?"
It's exact water slides. Water slide companies are huge there. It's nuts.
I think it'd be fun to see it. I think it'd be really cool to go.
It was fun.
Yeah,
we had to go there once.
That's cool.
Are you guys roller coaster guys at all?
Yeah, I like roller when I can fit on them.
I'm not opposed to roller coasters, but I've not been on a roller coaster in a while.
Me either.
I've seen enough roller coaster, malfunctioning videos lately now that I think I'm okay if I never get on a roller.
Me too.
Roller coasters will remind you really quickly that you got to lose a few pounds.
Yeah.
Because I was on the Kentucky Rumbler at Beach Bend Park in Bowling Green not too long ago.
Yeah.
It was like, I remember this. It felt different. It wasn't as tight. So,
dude, but my biggest fear is the bar coming down and not clicking or unclicking.
I can only imagine.
Can you imagine that?
No, I saw
it happened. Like, that's the thing about TikTok. You see everything. And I saw that, I guess when this airs, TikTok might not be a thing anymore. But I saw it on TikTok. It happened. And I was like, actually, I don't know if I ever want to get on another roller coaster.
God.
Well, you see the people that run them.
Yeah. Well, we play like, I'm sure you've played your fair share of like mostly county fairs, some state
toothless
fairs.
Carnies, yeah.
And you walk around and you see these roller coasters that are thrown up and there's 2x4s holding them up and all this. I'm like, dude, you couldn't pay me to
bungee
get on
cords.
That.
You know those ones that are like this, and they go like, and they're almost straight up like that.
That's not for me.
And
I'm okay. I would like to go to Cedar Point and ride all the roller coasters.
And what state is that in?
That's in Ohio.
Oh, okay.
Sandusky.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Is it connected also to the Mall of America or something like that?
That would be, I believe that's in Minneapolis, but you're thinking it's right off. Yeah. It's on the southern coast of Lake Erie.
Yeah, there was one year where our buses parked right by the Mall of America 2 times in 1 year. And we got off, we were like deja vu. We're like, I guess we got a night off here at the Mall of America.
It's a big mall, right?
It's gigantic.
Hey, that's not the worst spot to have a day off. I've had many days off in a dusty parking lot in the middle of Kansas or Texas or
did you have an Orange Julius in there, Ben?
It's like, you know what, they didn't have one, but I did have a hot dog on a stick. No, but this is a kind of a rule of the road. It's the weirdest thing. When you're at a very nice hotel, 4-star, maybe even a 5-star hotel, a resort, somewhere where you want to be, you only got a cleanup time, like 2 hours there, right? Or 1 hour. And then the days you have off, maybe 2 days off, you're in the middle of nowhere at a Best Western with horrible coffee, nothing around.
Oh yeah.
Jim,
what do you do with yourself on days like that where you're in a dusty parking lot?
Herpes.
Lot lizards.
Yeah. I mean, I'll take a nap.
Yeah.
I have a grill under the bus.
Yes.
I have a little camping stove and usually try to plan ahead for that. And we'll have, some steaks or something, chicken tacos, something to.
So you like to cook?
I do like to cook, yeah.
So you're the guy in the band with the most culinary skills.
As a drummer,
our guitar player's pretty got some good stuff too, and him and I really collaborate on steaks a lot, and we're very much aligned in how we like to cook. So it's actually pretty fun. Sometimes we'll get 2 camping stoves going, so we got 3 or 4 things, and we've done a few steak nights for the entire bus, which feels like we're working on a line. Those are the nights that make me think that I would hate working in a restaurant.
Oh, dude. I would never want to
trying to do
business.
10 steaks and also a ton of sides and whatever. But it's fun, and it's a great way to spend a day off, honestly. And
so, are you in a truck stop on a day off?
It varies. Sometimes it's a hotel parking lot, or
oh wow, okay,
yeah. I'm trying to think of the weirdest spot. I mean, on a show day, I've definitely have cooked a steak in a dirt parking lot if the bus is kind of parked off site, and that's just where we are. I have stopped cooking outside of the bus when we're parked in a city, because you get too many people walking by, making a lot of dad jokes. Actually, they'll be like, "Hey, I like mine medium rare," that kind of thing. And well, it's whatever.
Did you go? Did you have to take the tong to go?
Yeah, every time.
Right.
But nowadays I prefer a little privacy when we're cooking from the general public.
Because that's the misperception from the public with what you guys do, is that, oh my gosh, it must be great to see the world, but you're not really seeing much. You might get in the night before or the morning of, right? And you're in the venue.
You're in the venue, you're at a hotel, you're en route to those things, you're in an airport. Really, you're just spending a lot of time just backstage. And then we have these things called runners that are just these guys that are paid by the hour through Live Nation or the venue. And I'll say, hey, man, I need some hydrogen peroxide and I'd like to go to LA Fitness, and they make it happen.
I need some propane for the cooking stove. I've done that one a few times.
So, and the road but I love it. I'm a troubadour. I just like making the best of wherever you are, and
But I mean, you're playing San Francisco. Were you able to go out to see the Golden Gate and stuff like that?
No.
Really?
No, you're at we did play the stadium there one time, Levi Stadium. By the way, it was the only stadium I have ever gone to where they had tons of vegan food, right?
Oh.
It was most other
that makes sense.
NFL stadiums are no, that is not.
Vegas, you're not going to be, if you're at NRG or one of the Mandalay Bay or something like that, no seeing Red Rock Canyon.
After all these years, I still have never seen Red Rock Canyon. I've never seen the Grand Canyon.
Oh, no way.
Really?
I've never.
Get out of town.
I did make it somehow to go see the. What is it where they have the buffalo and the hot spring? Yellowstone.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I saw where is it with the waterfall between New York and Canada?
Niagara.
Saw that.
Yeah.
Haven't seen Mount Rushmore.
Well, that's the thing about Niagara Falls is a great example of I was in Buffalo, and I think we had a day off, and I was like, oh man, I'd love to go see it, but it's 45 minutes away or whatever.
Yeah.
You can Uber or try to rent a car, but you gotta, if you're not walking distance, especially for me, nowadays. I used to do a lot more like Ubering into, you know, for outside of like Seattle. I'll do a $35, $40 Uber to get to Seattle to like check it out. And now I'm like, man, if we're not walking distance to something, it's like I try not to Uber too much on the road because I mean it gets expensive real quick.
It
you
really
got
does.
that and food. So yeah, I'd say like sometimes you're playing right downtown and there's a lot of good stuff around, and sometimes you're literally like, God, there's this venue in Oklahoma City we've played that's not really, and it's not a shack, but it's a standalone thing. There's nothing else around there for 20 minutes or whatever. Yeah. So you're pretty much stuck there all day.
Are you guys at least able to, you know, sample local fare? Like if you're in Midwest and you got some amazing steakhouses and, you know, you being a steak guy, Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, there's got to be places that will deliver, or at least can you put forth like a few, hey, in the future, we would love to request catering to include this restaurant that was on like diners, drive-ins, and dives or something.
Yeah. Well, I know this varies like camp to camp, but we don't really do, unless the venue offers catering, we don't really do catering, and we'd get a meal buyout instead, which I prefer that because sometimes, you know, if like the venue food is like chicken tenders and fries or whatever, it's like I'd way rather Uber Eats Chipotle to the venue or something else, you know?
That's right.
But then like, we were just on the Post Malone tour in the fall, and they had like insane catering every single day.
Tell us about that, man. That was kind of like, had to be a feather in your cap because you moved to town 10 years ago. You're probably playing Lower Broadway. We could backtrack a little bit. You're shaking hands, you're crashing parties, you're doing your great pocket song drumming. You know, you're doing your thing. You get this gig with Muscadine. You're building that thing. Yeah. And then 10 years later, you guys are doing the Post Malone tour.
Yeah, crazy. That was, it came up so last minute too. Like we actually had a whole fall tour planned, headline tour, because we put out a record the same day that the Post Malone F1 Trillion record came out. And I want to say it was maybe a week or a week and a half after that is when one of the guys texts our group chat for the whole like touring group. And it's like, hey, can you guys hop on a FaceTime call in 30 minutes? And I'm like, oh man, like this is either something big or like we're all getting fired or something crazy's happened. So for 30 minutes, I'm like, well, like what could it be? Like there wasn't, you know, whatever. And yeah, got on FaceTime and they were like, hey, so we're canceling the fall tour. And I was like, oh, that blows. Yeah. It says, and we're going out with Post Malone for the next 2 months. And our like the Muscadine manager has been friends with Post Malone's manager for a couple years now, and somehow it worked out that it wasn't like somebody dropped off the tour or anything like that, but they called us like the Monday, like a week before the tour started, was like, hey, we want you guys to come out and open. Then they added another opener like the Friday before, like 2 days before the first show, they added another opener in front of us.
Nice.
So it was like definitely a hectic week, but the guys had to make that call of like, hey, we're going to postpone our fall tour and we're going to go out and do this insane tour, which like I've never done a tour like that before.
You're in front of a lot of eyes.
Yeah. And it was,
ears.
Man, it was so much fun. It was so cool.
What were the venues? All stadiums, giant sheds?
For stadiums, we played Fenway and Nissan.
Nice.
So Nissan was insane.
Yeah. It's your hometown. You're rocking it, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then other than that, I think it was a lot of sheds, amphitheaters, and all, 10 to like 25,000 cap venues. Played like Jones Beach, Blossom Music Center. So a lot of venues that like I've seen other people playing over the years that, got to go do it now. So
check. Good work.
Yeah.
Do you, I thought of a new question.
Yeah.
It could be a standard.
Become a standard. Okay.
What's your, how do you like me now moment? Like, you're coming from Fort Bragg, California.
Mm-hmm.
Was there anybody who are your doubters and who are you happy to say, that's right, mofo?
Told you.
How do you like me now?
Man,
look at me.
I feel fortunate. I've had a lot of support. I've had a lot of supportive friends, very supportive family. Now
You're not
very
helping my
supportive
question.
wife.
I want to hear the.
That being said, there's a couple of people. I did work at a music store after high school before I moved to LA. Kind of that like intermediary period where I was like, okay, well, I don't want to live in Fort Bragg, but I want to play drums, but like I don't know what that looks like, and I don't want to go to like a 4-year college. Is like out of the question. I had no desire to go to college. Well, a traditional 4-year university.
Yeah.
And when I was like, cool, I'm moving to LA, I'm going to go to music school, and there was a few coworkers that were.
Where'd you work?
Guitar Center.
Okay.
Yeah. I had a few coworkers who were maybe a little bit like, hey man, like. That's tough. It's a real hard, it's like, not a lot of people make it. Like, why do you think? And
it's a bunch of crabs in a bucket.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good.
And that being said, I think a couple of them I'm still like friendly with on Instagram. So I'm sure they might hear this. But
It's, should give them hope.
Yeah.
You just got to take chances.
Hey, I'm like glad I went for it, because I think like something I've heard on other podcasts or interviews and stuff is like, if somebody wants to be a drummer or a musician or whatever, is like, what's your advice? So it's like, don't do it. It's really freaking hard and it takes a lot. But like, if not doing it is not an answer, then you should absolutely go pursue it and do X, Y, and Z. But if you already have a plan B in the back of your mind, it's like, don't even bother doing this, because it's not all it's chalked up to be.
If you're asking, should I do it, then the answer is probably no, you shouldn't.
That's a much more concise way to put that.
Yeah, well, you miss, Gretzky, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
That's
right?
Yeah.
Somebody is going to get the job. Why not you?
Yeah.
That was always my thought process with it was like acting. It's like, I'm going to throw my hat in the ring, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of things going against you.
Now, how long you been with your wife?
We've been together for, it'll be 4 years here in a couple months.
Nice.
So you met the in-laws.
Yes.
Guess what, in-laws? I'm a professional drummer.
Yeah.
Were they like,
do they like that?
They're into it. Yeah. They think it's cool. They come to like, they've actually traveled to, within a few hours to some shows, Your
parents, were your parents supportive too?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's dude, it's freaking, you can't ask more than that.
I mean, supportive parents, incredible. It's like, in our organization, there's a lot of that. It's family, man. We've had the same monitor engineer for 20 million years. Evan, what's up? And wherever we're in the Ohio area, his folks are going to be at that show. And his mom brings all these baked goods.
Oh, yeah.
And there's 2 Tupperware things, and it says one with nuts and one without nuts. So cookies and breads, with it, And then whenever we're kind of in the Florida area, my parents are going to be there. Tampa, West Palm, and they usually time it, so that's usually the end of our tour. We'll end a tour in West Palm or Tampa, so my parents will come and they'll crash the end of the tour party, and my mom's like, I love coming because everyone gets together and the crew, and then we close the place down. So having supportive peers and parents, priceless.
I think my mom was the one that found, I don't know if she found MI, but like, maybe I showed it to her. And
she's like, here's 2 year.
Oh my god,
you need to do this.
2-year degree.
Like, this is exactly what you need to do.
Yeah.
And I was like, at the time, I think the tuition was probably a fraction of what it is now. But at the time, I was like, oh, it's so much money, whatever.
Well, like really 10 years ago, 12 years ago, what was the tuition for 2 years?
It was $8,000 a quarter. And I had a scholarship.
So
I think I
$16,000
knocked
a
it
year?
down. Yeah. Which now, I mean, it went up. Even when in my time there, it was like going up. And I think I was grandfathered into that initial quarterly rate. I have no idea what it is.
This is how long ago for you?
12 years.
This is
12 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
$32K for your education.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
And what was that final exam like? A lot of 4-year schools, you've got to do, I did an afternoon of percussion. I did an evening of percussion. I had to do it, and it was 90 minutes, and there was a big band, and then you played the vibraphone, and then you play the marimba. But what was the thing? Was it like a recital?
Yeah, I don't even think there was a recital, man. Honestly, I think it was like we had our tests with our
styles,
with our different styles, different teachers, and I really dived into like the Latin stuff for whatever reason. I like really gravitated towards that when I was in school.
Your songos, your bossas, your all the stuff.
It's all gone now, but there was a point where I had like a pretty decent like left foot clave, and which nice. That's one of those things like. I've had people compliment like, oh, your left foot, you splash it and you do these things with your left foot. And I'm like, that's funny. Like the only reason my left foot can just like operate independently is because I shedded like, I shedded the left foot clave like crazy for a while.
It's funny. I didn't touch it because I was like, no one, like, I'm not going to get this call. Like, Joey Heredia is going to get the call. Yeah. Horacio is going to get the call. So I was like, man, that is a commitment. But I do all sorts of splashing. 1 and 3s, 2s and 4s, 8s.
What's a left foot clave? Just for us, just for us laymen.
Or you can swing it. And that thing is going.
Is that a 3-2 or a 2-3?
And it's on a foot pedal.
Yeah.
With the jam block.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I still have it actually. I've not busted it out. Every once in a while, yeah. I might put it on the kit at home and mess around with it. Be like, oh man.
Well, just there's a lot of nuances that we're adding to the show today. This is going to indicate a layman's term moment.
It basically, it's just like a 4-way. It's like a 4-way coordination exercise. I was doing it with Tim McIntyre was the one who I was studying with. Yeah. He's an insane drummer. He would be sorely disappointed in my grip on my sticks now. He always was like on me about holding my sticks at the butt. He's like, you got to hold it in the middle.
Really? Because I'm way back.
Dude, I'm way back. And I was like, for my private lessons with him, I'd hold it, a good fulcrum spot, but no, I still just like hold the sticks at the butt.
Yeah.
But no, that's who I was studying with. Well, I was studying with Chuck Silverman when he passed.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't know that.
And that was tough for sure. And like as an ode to him, that's what I really dove into the left foot clave, because me and him had been talking about it. Yeah. And like honestly, it was the day he passed away. I sat down and I just put on a metronome and I just did the feet. Then I started adding quarter notes, and like I shedded that for like probably 2 or 3 hours before I finally figured it out.
2 or 3 hours, same thing over and over again?
I was at a lot more.
Is that what it takes?
I had a much different attention span back then.
Or days or weeks, or I mean, that's a skill set that you just you work your entire life on to freely express yourself on the right side of the kit against that left foot that can never budge or stop.
And that's just with doing quarter notes with my right hand or whatever. And then, so I brought that, started studying with T-Mac, took over, and he was like, what do you want to work on? I was like, well, I've been trying to do this left foot clave stuff. So then he's like, okay, well, let's do, you got it.
That's just with quarters on my right hand though.
Yeah. So we did the ostinato on the feet, and then we would do like paradiddles and stuff and kind of free up your brain to like move it around, and got to the point where I could like somewhat, not saying I was gonna get any Latin gigs by any means, but I could like play some stuff over doing that left foot clave ostinato with like the samba kick drum.
It's funny.
I've always the songo kick drum.
Yeah. I've always had like a draw to that kind of music. Like,
heck yeah.
I love, like, my latest flavor is all things Southern Florida, South Florida, Miami, Courtney, not so much, but I'd love, like, in our future to visit it more. I'd like to maybe stay on Ocean Drive, in that area where all the buildings are different neon colors and stuff like that. And just spend a night just going to see those clubs and those players. I mean, I really have a desire just to immerse myself into that culture.
What about the South Florida? Is that like a potential future retirement spot for you? No, gotcha.
No, I don't know where I would retire. I'd probably be around here, but I mean, we'll have the RV to go places.
Yeah, Jim. Well, so, and now your touch is like, you're such a groove player. So when I think about like, just, Pelton and the Laurel Canyon guys and who are your kind of influences?
Oh man. So I was fortunate to have some really great music around me growing up that I did not appreciate it at all for what it was. I grew up with a lot of Allman Brothers, Eagles. Yeah. That's like my mom's world is all like that.
Eagles' greatest hits. I mean, come on.
Classic rock.
So much good stuff. And when I got to, sorry to backtrack a little bit more, in high school, went through like a metalcore, death metal, blast beat phase. Like that was
pop punk.
And
I mean, you're from
punk.
If you're in California, it's like you go through a Sum 41, Blink 182 phase, right?
Oh, it's I think it's required.
What's pop punk?
Pop punk would be like Sum 41 or Blink 182, where it's like,
okay. Gotcha. I'm just being the layman here. I've heard the terms before, but I guess I'm just too irrelevant
there's
to remember.
There's some of the musical energy and tropes of punk music, but it's all shined up and presentable to the masses.
Punk is typically
Vandals.
I was into that too. That was kind of I started into punk, then went to pop punk, then went to like the Screamo, metal, like that stuff. Right. The blast beats.
Well, I'm really glad that you grew out of that, buddy.
Same. Me too. I was intent. I was like my favorite drummer.
Well, you had your ears were stretched and all that,
did,
right?
Yeah.
Did you have the gauges in there?
I did, yeah.
So what happened when you pulled them out? Did they?
I got surgery on these
really?
In 2019, yeah.
To have them because they won't come back.
Yeah, I hadn't stretched probably about it was about an inch and a quarter, if I remember correctly.
Because they look like loops when you leave them out, right?
Yeah, so I had a whole, probably I could fit like a half-inch size piece of jewelry still in there.
It's a cigar holder.
Yeah, and I had that, and I was like, man, I just want to get rid of that, because I was like really, well, the thing is I was really intent on like that. My favorite drummers had neck tattoos and full sleeves, and I was like, oh man, I want to be double kick drum, neck tattoo, full sleeves. Graduated high school. Worked at Guitar Center, and for whatever reason, something in that like switched my brain where I was like, oh, like I don't think. Well, actually, I did a couple like metal tours, very low budget. Like I didn't get paid.
Get in the van, man.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Is like even like the veterans in that genre barely get paid.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. And
hey, how about that new kid that plays for Slipknot?
Oh, he's insane.
Sick. Jim,
Insane.
Jim, you get tired just watching. Like he is so clean and so precise. So his teacher was Thomas Lang.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Dude, I'm not crazy about the music, but this kid is performing surgery back there.
The videos are insane.
I'm more a fan of the shoulders of the giants these guys stand on.
Like Lombardo and
Benante and those. Yeah. I mean, those are the OGs. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Charlie's a nice guy.
They shaped me, but they still had rock sensibilities in that music.
Yeah.
You know, everything wasn't just like how fast, how many. You know, can I do 64th notes with my hands?
There's definitely a lot of that nowadays.
Yeah, it's circus drum,
and that was my goal. Like in high school, was like how fast can I play? How many double kicks can I do?
How fast can I get fired from a gig?
Yeah. But I did this tour filling in. I think the drummer broke his leg or broke his arm or something. Funny enough, actually, that drummer is Sepultura's drum tech who Eloy played with prior to Slipknot.
Oh, wow.
So I never thought about that connection there.
That makes me feel old.
Oh, relationships in action right there.
I did that tour and I was so excited for it. And then it was just not. Yeah. I was like, I don't think this is for me. And that's kind of when I went back to the drawing board, and I had been listening to more pop music, just listening to the radio and stuff. And I had a buddy, very talented drummer named Alex Ben. He plays for a metal band called Trivium now.
Oh yeah, Trivium.
Yeah, he's sick. And he's
Axis pedal guys.
Yes. Yeah. And I've known Alex, we've been buddies since we were like 14. And he's always been like especially playing the metal stuff. I was like, oh, that's the dude that's like what I aspire to like. Yeah. Play drums like.
A lot of these bands were inspired by Connecticut White Bread for sure.
Oh yeah,
that was Jim's band. We have to name drop the band once in every episode.
I did actually a blast beat on one of the songs.
Oh, cool.
Back when we didn't know what to call them.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'll have to check it out.
It's just basically a polka. Really.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
They rocked out polka.
Metal polka.
But but like 20 times fast.
Oh, nice, Jim.
Yeah. It's a nonsensical beat, and you wonder why it's there.
Now Jim is a good rock drummer. He's just got a good natural feel. Really
Love
good.
It. Awesome.
So what was the bridge between?
Well, yeah. So Alex was like doing well in the metal stuff. He was like, dude, I would love to play with like Katy Perry or LMFAO was like really big at the time.
Oh yeah.
And we would get up and like we would shed, and I would like try to steal whatever from him and. He was one of the dudes that was also like pretty supportive of me going to MI actually. Yeah. And he was like, dude, you need to be a pop drummer, be a rock drummer, whatever. And I was living in Modesto, California in the Central Valley, had some friends there, got the job at Guitar Center. And I was like, well, I need to get out of Fort Bragg. I can't move to LA just like as an 18-year-old with no plan or nothing, no idea, no money. Yeah. But going to MI felt like something to get my toes in the water there. So I applied and got in and did the audition and everything. And started MI, I think March of 2013, I want to say.
That reading, did it pay off for your charting and all that stuff now?
Oh, 100%.
You hear that, kids? Reading.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't really feel like I can necessarily read music, but like I can read a groove. I can notate a groove. I've done gigs. I mean, I'd say the most best example of that being like being able to prepare on short notice was like I played Whiskey Jam with maybe Muscadine, maybe somebody else. Yeah. And I got done off playing with them. And some other guy was like, hey, man, my drummer, like not hearing from him, no idea where he's at. Can you play with me after this next person? So I had 3 songs to go and he sent me the songs and I went and listened to them and made quick, dirty charts on a napkin or whatever. And the bass player was also good about helping me through, but I think it went fine. I don't remember there was no train wrecks. I like had all the grooves written out. I had my shorthand. Yeah. And then when you're preparing for a gig, when you have more time, you can really like make sure you have all your everything in a row.
So when you say you're not good at reading music, you're talking about like something that's completely like through composed, like for a film score, all the kick and patterns and fills.
Yeah. If there was like notes involved, like I can't play. Like I know you can do like the
big band or
marimba and all that stuff.
Yeah,
I got none of that.
Right.
But and then I'd say like I used to go through some big band charts at MI, but now I don't have any of that anymore. I could probably look at a lead sheet and maybe like figure it out with a few run throughs, but as far as like actually sight reading a lead sheet, don't have it.
But the thing is Ted Reed's syncopation page 38. Da, 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 da. You know what those look like. You know what those sound like. You know how to count them. So you hear bop, 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 boom, 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 blap, dono, gada. That's the first rhythm on page 38.
Yeah. And it makes it so easy to prepare for a gig when you can just like hear something. And then for me, I can like visualize what the rhythm looks like. And that makes it so much easier to regurgitate it live.
Getting back to your metal licks and stuff like that, you're playing with this band now.
Yeah.
Does that ever kind of creep back in, maybe in trash can endings? Or
funny enough, it does. There's a few tunes where I am doing like a double time thing or doing like one of the songs. It's the first song of the set right now. I'm playing a lot of metal licks, metal parts. Some stuff sounds like a Day to Remember. I was like, I'm going to steal this like a Day to Remember drum part and just put it in this song.
Yeah. Are you on the records? Are you playing the records?
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Because I tried to pull up some of the stuff on Spotify, and it seemed like a lot of it was very acoustic.
Yeah, I'd say that's like on the top, like the Spotify top songs or whatever.
Like the top 5 were very acoustic.
That's like the bread and butter, I guess. But I mean, as far as like you dive into the records, I mean, most of it is a little more. They do cover a good range of like rockin' stuff to like really mellow.
Darn, I didn't get to that stuff, so I had to do a deeper dive.
I would say just listen to like the Coastal Plain record that we put out in September, I guess.
Coastal Plain. So now where are you guys tracking this? Who's the producer? What's the process like?
Yeah, so Gary and Charlie are the 2 singers. They are the producers, and then also this guy Ryan Humans, who I've known for 10 years. I met him when I played on the Porching Angel. Is like that's a song that kind of elevated their career in a very significant way. So Ryan called me to play on Porching Angel. He was producing Gary and Charlie, and this was probably 8 years ago now.
Yeah.
And they still work with Ryan as a producer and engineer. So typically we've done it a few different ways. We've done 3 records in the last few years. How we did Coastal Plain is like we go in, we do 1 song a day, whether we're done at noon or we're done at 6 p.m.
That's great.
And it takes the pressure off to do like, okay, we're going to do 4 songs in a day. Cause I know you've done a ton of that, and I've done that too, where you go in and, you know, hey, we got 1 day to track. We're going to do 4 songs or 5 songs or whatever. And you're on a schedule. But the way that we've been doing it, where we go in usually around 9 or 10 a.m., we start playing the song and we'll record it and we'll play through it for, you know, an hour or 2.
That's the live band, the live touring band. That is so nice because it happens way more than it used to, but it's still not that
I have been noticing that there's more and more live bands playing, which I think is really cool to see, because when I moved here, it was like you and like Chris McKee with Keith Urban, I think were the only people I could think of that were like playing with the guys they tour with.
Which is crazy. And now, is that the reason to work like that, 1 song a day? I like that model. Is it because the guys own their own studio, or do you have to rent a space?
Ryan owns his studio. Man, I think it just takes the pressure off, and you can explore everything. There's sometimes we'll spend an hour on like, okay, this is what the song vibe is going to be like. And then be like, you know what, let's just like completely change it and go back to the, you know, drawing board. And then sometimes we'll do that and be like, well, this works or this doesn't work. But it definitely leaves it to be no stone left unturned, because usually, you know, in other sessions I've done, it's like you do your first take to just try to like nail the parts. And then you do your second take to improve on that. And then your third take, you might take a little more liberties. And then maybe you'll do a 4th take, and then you'll overdub tambourine, and that's it. But you don't want to be like, well, hey, let's try this crazy thing that's like maybe not typical to like a Nashville session. I think there's a lot of that on the Muscadine stuff that, you know, I think like the session players that do that, man, that is a skill set, and that is tough, and it's very different than, you know, going in with the mindset of like, well, let's just like see everything we can get out of this one song. And there's a lot of moments on like Muscadine Bloodline records that I don't think would happen if you went in and did the song in 3 takes. Like there's a lot of stuff that's on there that you would not
have discovered.
Yes. And
that's
not be
very
like,
nice.
well, let's try this thing, and maybe it takes us 30 minutes to like figure out how this part needs to be. But once you figure out what it has to be, and, you know, it's a group effort from everybody, you end up with some really cool stuff.
Well, congratulations, man, because that is a really cool thing, and I look forward to doing a deeper dive, because when I was like checking it, I was doing my homework, and I was like, this is all acoustic, man. Where's Zoltan, man?
Yeah, that's usually if people are like, you know, occasionally, and like maybe small talk with people, they'll be like, oh, well, I want to listen to your stuff, like where can I see it? And I'm like, oh, like it's on Spotify, but like just listen to one of the records, because the really big stuff, and that's the stuff that like kills live, like people go insane for it, and a lot of it we do rock up live too, like that Pieces song that they did with Lainey Wilson 3 or 4 years ago.
She is on fire.
She's crushing it. We play that live, we're like, I'm beating the shit out of my cymbals. I don't know if I can swear on this or not.
Oh, of course.
And then
Jim's got to edit.
But the studio recording is electric guitar and vocals. But live, I'm digging in.
And you're playing the Sabian cymbals.
I am,
And these are some hi-hats that apparently I loaned to you 8 years ago.
Very long time ago.
And I was like, you know what? I'm cool. Like, I'll probably never see those. And today I was like, you know what? If you got enough cymbals, bring them back.
Yeah, so, I got plenty of cymbals.
Do you use those?
Are they 15-inch? Jim wants them.
Oh, they are 15s.
Is that something that you use? Use those much?
I can loan them to you too.
Yeah.
Don't you have some? You have some nice hi-hats up there, buddy.
I do, but I bought those.
Oh yeah. Did the free ones sound better?
Free ones always sound better.
What are they? 15-inch AAs?
They are 15-inch AA
rock hats.
I think so.
Yeah. Nice.
With
the old logo.
With the old
everybody was so mad
logo.
About the new logo for like a 2-year period, right?
You know, it was it's grown on.
Now it just takes, you need those 700 days for people to stop crying in their freaking cereal, and then it becomes, it's the humanity of it all. We get used to it. Like, was the Rolling Stones, like, is that the most perfect band name? I don't know. It just stuck for how many years?
Oh, it was a cool name for that time.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, now it's iconic.
Because I think they were capitalizing on the whole rock and roll
Right, and the
No
Rolling
idea.
Stone, Bob Dylan, like a Rolling Stone.
Is that where they got it from?
Or I don't know which came first, the chicken or the egg. I don't know.
You're asking
I mean,
the
it was
wrong.
rock-
I'm the wrong guy to ask.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
You're so young.
When was rock and roll as a term coined?
Probably in the 50s with like Bill Haley and the
That's right.
Comets and all that, right?
So I mean, Rolling Stones is a rock and roll. I mean, it's Rolling Stone.
Yeah,
It's a rolling rock.
nice.
Speaking of Rolling Rock,
yeah, makes
Latrobe,
sense.
Pennsylvania, Rolling Rock beer, really good.
Oh yeah, love it.
Sponsor.
So, who were these that when you were, before you moved to Nashville or right when you moved to Nashville? Did you do like a deep dive and be like, I'm going to check out Eddie Bears and Lonnie Wilson and Greg Morrow?
Got out of that. Yeah, sorry. So I started listening. I did not grow up listening to country music.
Right.
Besides,
Neither did I. But
Zach Brown Band.
but then you do a
actually,
deep dive,
in high school was the first thing that I had really.
He listened to Zach Brown Band in high school.
That was
that's
it.
insane.
Yeah.
Zach Brown Band came on at a party when I was probably a senior or
Chicken
something.
Fried?
It was Toes actually.
Gotcha.
And I was like, man, this is cool.
Yeah.
Very different than the death metal, blast beat metal I was listening to as an 18-year-old. So I kind of checked that out, but not really any radio stations in Fort Bragg. There's like a classic rock radio station, and I think that was pretty much it.
Yeah. Is Fort Bragg a military town?
It is.
Yeah.
It is not.
Oh.
It sounds like
there
it
was there's Fort Bragg, North Carolina.
Yeah.
Which is usually the confusion. The guys actually, the Muscadine guys live when they do the band intros, and they're like, "Where I'm from, Mendocino, California," because they say Fort Bragg, California. People coming up to me after the show be like, "Oh man, like, what branch is your family in or whatever?" I'm like, "Oh no, like different thing."
Mendocino Farms.
Yeah, good spot too.
Nice.
What's that?
It's kind of like a Whole Foods.
Yeah,
Oh,
grocery
okay.
store in LA. I'm assuming it's still a thing. I have no idea.
How about the Gelson's? Well, you think shopping at Publix is expensive? Try Gelson's on Franklin Avenue in Hollywood.
Probably could not afford to shop there when I lived there.
Whoa, dude! Wow.
But anyway, so when I was in LA, I started listening to country radio, and then like the Aldine stuff.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was like, oh man, I was like, this is badass.
You
I
know
was like,
that
this
movie,
is-
My Left Foot?
I don't know.
Well, I'll just tell you this. It's Daniel Day-Lewis and his not a comedy.
Okay.
My Right Foot. Doom, 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 doom. Hey.
That's the first indication of Jason you hear is Rich's Red Foot.
Yeah.
Red
There
Foot.
you go.
Was that
And your right
It was
foot.
like a Hicktown,
It
Amarillo
was
Sky.
She's Country. I think it was
Oh my
like that era, and I was like, so the metal riffs and like all that stuff. I was like, this is fucking cool.
Dude,
And
that was
then,
2009. Dude. That's
damn.
crazy.
Yeah, so that's when I started like, well, I guess it was still on the radio then because I probably started listening to country radio in 2012, 2013.
Oh, yeah. It was a recurrent.
Yeah. And then, like the FGL stuff. And then I would like watch videos of you, watch videos of like Sean Fuller playing.
Yeah.
And
He's a metal fan.
that's what, he's crushing it. He's so good.
He's
All the
metal.
metal guys went country.
Yeah. I'm trying to think who else. And it's like the Keith Urban stuff and like getting introduced to Chris McHugh through that.
Great.
And like the Luke Bryan stuff, which
Kent.
is that Lonnie? I don't even know who plays on those records. Actually.
Right nowadays it's Evan Hutchings, but
cool.
it probably was, a little bit of Lonnie, a
Yeah.
little bit of Greg. And,
Yeah. Well, and then so
Yeah.
that was the stuff that I was like, not your traditional cross stick,
Yeah.
close hi-hat
you know what's
country
funny?
that I was.
Is that when you're playing that kind of stuff and you come from that, because I'm from that background as well.
Mm-hmm.
I played speed metal at one point, but mostly rock. When you try to play the way these guys play, it's like a wake up call,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That was my experience.
Well, that was the thing going to MI is I was like, oh shit, like I can't really I can play fast, but I can't play a groove.
Yeah.
Or I can, but it doesn't sound good.
All
I
that
record it
space
back.
between the notes.
Yeah,
on the slower tempos.
Yeah. And so that listening to like the big Nashville or the big country radio stuff is kind of what started making me check it out. And I like really, and I thought it was cool if there was a lot of acoustic drums on it. Cause a lot of like, especially, the pop music stuff does not have a lot of acoustic drums on it. And the rock stuff is
It's in a slump.
Yeah, for sure. So that was really my introduction to like what was going on in Nashville. Was listening to the radio at that time, and that was the first thing that kind of made me start checking that out and then start stealing fills, stealing licks, being like, okay, I gotta like learn how to groove and play these like these.
Well, you did, and we got to give a shout out to our friend Stuart Jean. Did you study with him a little bit on some groove classes and stuff?
He did some. We do, what do they call them? Like the LPWs, like the live performance things, and he would be on those, and I think he would like fill in occasionally if like somebody, like a teacher had a conflict, he would like fill in on a class.
Because this is going way back before he started running the program.
Yeah,
he was teaching. Yeah, he was just a teacher.
I think he might have been just kind of getting into running it, if I remember correctly. But man, that feels like a different lifetime ago.
I mean, it sure is. I mean, 10 years is a long time. It really is. When you look back, I can look back at like chunks of time in my life. I'm thinking my 20s, my 30s, my 40s. Oh my God. So much changes. But one thing remains the same. Are you still as in love with the drums and your craft? Do you still feel like a kid?
Man, it's, I just had rehearsals Saturday.
Yeah.
We've been off the road since November 2nd.
So you're dusting it off.
It's been about 2 months.
Yeah.
And I've been hitting a practice pad at home, and I'll play at home, but I'm not hitting like I do live. And getting back to rehearsing and playing the songs with the guys was like, man, I was like, I missed this. Like it's so much fun.
Yeah.
You know, something I'm definitely grateful that I get to do. And I still enjoy it.
Are they down in Columbia as well?
No, most everybody lives up in Nashville. A couple guys live in White House. I'm the only one that's very south of town. Yeah, we do bus call at like White's Creek, so it's about an hour for me to get there. Yeah.
Dude.
It's time to find another band.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Our crew bus call got moved to Mount Juliet. And so I'm like, oh,
really?
They're out there, yeah.
So you got
crazy.
Oh
my bus call is right by Bricktops.
Oh, the crew bus call.
Crew bus call, yeah. Gotcha. So, which is nice, you know, as you know, Spring Hillians and Columbians.
Yeah.
It's pretty close. I just went to the Men's Warehouse today at the Cool Spring, not the Cool Springs Mall. You know what? It's starting to show that signs of deterioration. Like, I don't know if we're going to have this mall for long.
But they've been building on to the outside of it and they're doing that mall thing that they've been adapting all the malls across the country.
What is that?
Building more stores on the outside of the mall.
Oh, interesting. Because to try to attract people in there, just, you know, it's like, it's probably a couple of years away from like the George Romero movie, you know, where it's completely, you know.
Well, there's actually an interesting concept about malls that came down a couple of years ago. They're going to start turning them into like condos. And it kind of made sense because, I mean, every storefront has like a bathroom. I mean, he's got to outfit it for a shower. And
then what would be in the middle? Like greenery? Like a park?
Community, and I think the anchor stores would be maybe almost like a self-contained master plan community type of thing.
That's pretty darn smart.
It's just,
I think the Rivergate Mall.
How can you justify
last year, a couple years ago, right? So maybe.
But they put an ice rink in there, I believe.
Oh, really?
I think so.
Oh man, I have no idea.
Hickory Hollow. I don't know if you ever went there off of Bell Road. That is, who knows what that is?
Maybe that's where the ice rink is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Madison is where Rivergate is, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I never get to Madison. I never get to Gallatin. There's just certain pockets of places where I just never get.
Best Mexican foods in Madison. I lived there
what
for
I heard,
about,
man. Okay, what are those places?
So.
What are those places?
It's confidential, but I'll no,
confidential.
Garden Fresh Food Market, man. It's a little Hispanic grocery store. They have a taqueria in the back. Tacos, burritos. Everything's good, and the
that's
owners
probably
are
like
super nice.
A place here that's right next to.
It's like
Grecian.
Yeah, in Spring Hill, next to the Grecian, there's this cool little carniceria, taqueria.
Yeah,
very authentic.
Yeah. Oh, all right. I gotta check it out.
Hey,
we got some good taco trucks down in Columbia as well. I just did like a taco truck crawl one day after I moved down there last year or 2 years ago, and I was impressed.
You rent down? Did you buy down there or did you rent?
We bought a house down there. Yeah.
How long ago?
That's great.
August of 23.
Okay, so you bought kind of high.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, it's an upcoming area. It's definitely bougie now.
I mean, we were looking at every corner of Nashville, and the houses were not what we wanted, over budget.
Yeah.
And then we ended up, our realtor showed us this house. Actually, I was on the road. This is like a very typical musician thing, but my wife went to go look at the house, and she was like, I love the house and under our budget. And we put in an offer, and
James Campbell section or Bear Creek?
Bear Creek.
That area.
Yeah. Which is nice. I'm 10 minutes off the interstate. So not too bad of a drive.
Is it a new build or is it like
nice?
Nice. So are you 10 minutes? Are you east or so? You must be 10 minutes west of.
Yeah. So you get off 65 onto Bear Creek, and then 10 minutes towards Columbia, where we're off in one of those little neighborhoods back there. And then we're like less than, I think we're 5 minutes from downtown, like the square area. Which is really nice to have, spots just go and park the car and
Columbia
walk around.
is, when we moved here in 2005, Columbia was like New Milford, Connecticut. Those, of course, you guys have no idea what New Milford, Connecticut is. But when I grew up in Connecticut, New Milford was like where the rednecks lived.
Okay.
But when we moved here, I told my wife, I said, you watch, that's New Milford, probably circa 1985. By the time we moved out, to Vegas, New Milford became very bougie. In fact, if you watch Mr. Deeds with Adam Sandler, New Milford is prominently featured.
Well, I'm from Milford.
Yeah, Milford. This is New Milford.
Yeah, but how far
You're
away
from
is
old
New Milford from Milford?
Well, Milford's on the coast.
Gotcha.
So we were north of you. Danbury is northern Fairfield County, and then New Milford was north of that.
Yeah. Got to get back to Milford. Everything I do is a lot of times I'll pair visiting with family with like kind of like a working vacation.
Yeah.
So I know 3 probably or 4 clinic stops I got to make in Connecticut this year, and then I can hang out and see all my aunts and uncles.
You're on Eastern Connecticut because you got Sarah Cardeal. That's in that general area, right?
Yep.
So you're not really in Western Connecticut. Typically.
Well, I got a thing I got to do for Sarah. She's got me booked at a music school, and then around that, I'll probably hit 2 music stores, and and then go eat some amazing Italian and Greek food, and catch up with all my relatives.
I was going to ask what your pizza, like hot pizza, takes for Connecticut is. Do you have a?
I just go to wherever my relatives say this is where we're getting tonight.
Michelangelo's on Lake Avenue in Danbury, or Sinappi's.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Nice.
All day long.
Yeah.
Family
I've had,
friends.
Frank Pepe's every time I've been in
New Haven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Insane. So good.
You ever played Toad's Place?
I have not. No.
I got that all over you guys.
Yeah, I haven't played.
I played in a place that you guys did
But
not.
I think that I would love to play Toads. Now, it's on par with like
CBGB's.
like a CBGB's.
Oh, cool.
An Exit In, a Viper.
Yeah.
It's like that kind of an old rock club with a really small, dingy bathroom with all the stickers all over the walls and everything.
I saw Dream Theater there for the first time ever.
Wow.
Saw Sepultura there.
Wow.
Anthrax played there. I think a lot of these big metal bands played. That was the place to go.
Yeah.
Jim's a dad that listens to really hard music.
Love it. That's awesome.
A lot of dads are like that.
Yeah.
We're Gen Xers.
Yeah.
We grew up with that music, and it was, Pantera, Metallica, Megadeth. Sepultura was about as heavy as it got with the Cookie Monster stuff, but Fear Factory, I think I listened to. I could only listen to one song.
Yeah.
Because it was like, I don't even know what you're saying, dude.
Yeah, no, I have no idea.
That's all I listened to for probably solid 3 years with no
Screamo.
Nothing else. Yeah.
That's like gym music, like, for bodybuilder gyms that are like those disgusting, like no frills gyms, and it's just metal, just cranked. Hey, spot me, dude.
But when you have that kind of music, though, it's you kind of put that out there with the Screamo and stuff like that, and I'm completely lost track of those.
Yeah, it all kind of runs together. But you made your way to Nashville, and one thing that we usually like to bring up is there's this whole controversy now of someone moving, say 12 years ago, 10 years ago when you moved to Nashville.
Yeah.
Do you play Lower Broadway or not? Some people are like, no, I want to be choosier. It diminishes my brand. I don't think it's really going to help me. And then you got other people, even like I'm talking like high level guys that have very current gigs that are on salaries that are like, man, I go down there. It's like skill acquisition, man.
Yeah.
I like to think on my feet. It keeps my chops sharp. You dove head first into that, right?
Yeah.
What'd you do? Just start like going to sit in, meeting guys?
I did sit in a couple times, and I met some guys who would end up, asking me to sub in on the gig or whatever.
Nice.
And then once you kind of get in, that's like a really tough scene to break into. But once you start playing down there, people, it's like, it can be like wildfire. Bad timing.
So you feel like it's hard to break in.
I felt like to get down there like consistently, that it was like, you know, it was tough to even just like get a gig down there. And I think maybe now it might be even tougher because there's so many people that like that's all they do.
Yeah.
When I first moved here, there was not, I feel like there wasn't as much of that. There was also a lot less gigs to play down there. There was like less bars, less stages. Now it's like you got every single storefront's a bar with 3 or 4 stages.
Yeah.
With music running, you know.
Practically 24/7.
Yeah.
But can you imagine playing? Some of these guys are playing 8, 12 hours a day.
I've done it.
But consistently, that can't be good for your joints, for your body.
Yeah, no, and I think just like I've definitely gone through periods of being very burnt out just playing down there. I think after my first year of playing down there full time, which I'm grateful for because it let me, I was working at Sam Ash when I first moved here.
God rest Sam
and
Ash.
then, no kidding.
Yeah. Out in Rivergate area?
Yeah. I worked there for 6 or 7 months. And then I started playing downtown and I was like, well, I can play 2 gigs downtown and make more money than I make in a week working at Sam Ash. Because like minimum wage here is probably still $7.50, but I don't know what it was back then.
How do you make a living on $7.50 an hour?
You're not supposed to.
That's a whole nother. Yeah, that was
What? I mean, how do you?
You're not supposed. It's it's unskilled work.
Yeah, but how do you make a living even say on $15 an hour?
Yeah, no.
How do you do it?
Nashville's gotten wildly expensive since that's kind of the appeal of moving here was that it was affordable to live here, especially compared to LA.
Yeah.
And it's definitely not the case anymore. I see people renting rooms for, $1,000 a month.
Guys, get ready. They're coming here now.
Yeah.
Especially with the wildfires that are happening now. They're all going to be coming here.
Yeah.
They're going to be migrating eastward.
Let's just say this, that, of course it becomes a political issue, whatever. But, I still have a love affair with the state of California. Yeah. I think that Los Angeles is one of the greatest, most vibrant cities in the world. There's creative people. It's a place where some of the most talented people from every city in their city in America, they go and you mingle, and it's a city of ambition.
Yeah.
And, I know 2 friends that lost their houses, right?
Terrible,
so I'm doing the GoFundMe's, I'm doing what I can, but if you guys are listening and when this episode comes out, I'm sure people are still going to need help. So find out how you can help. It's a big,
and don't forget the people in Western North Carolina as well.
Of course.
Yeah. People, that was tough to see. Yeah. My wife and I go to Asheville at least once a year.
Yeah.
So seeing it underwater and destroyed was
we drove through there for Thanksgiving. And it's astounding to see it in person.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
Mother Nature is she is off track right now.
Yeah.
Something is happening, man.
Yeah. We had that tornado run through. I don't know if you were living down here yet.
I was going to ask about that.
Through. It hit. I mean,
you were not too
from
far.
My house.
Yeah.
You can still see when I drive, even just driving here, you can see. I mean, there's entire tree lines of forest just snapped in half.
It really kind of, it gave, like, everyone thought that a tornado couldn't traverse hills. Man, that is not true.
No, it's crazy to see. For sure.
I think several of our colleagues, I believe Stephen Missamore got very hit. Tommy Harden got very hit. And
I remember that.
It's just like a luck of the draw thing, man. And we all think that like it can't happen to us. And
have you gone up the hill to Clara Mathis, that road in Columbia?
I don't know if I have.
It's right off of Bear Creek.
Okay.
There's it'll take you up where the tornado really hit.
Okay, I have driven through there. Yeah.
Someone took a vacuum cleaner and just.
Yeah, it was it was insane. And I remember I was watching like the storm news or whatever, and they're like, "Oh, if you live Bear Creek Pike, Nashville Highway, take cover." And I'm home with my dogs, and I'm like,
"Yeah,
oh shit."
Well, I'll give you a tip. Have you heard of weather down in Muletown?
I have not. Check it out. All right,
they're the most accurate.
That's good to know.
Yeah, they follow them on Facebook. They're out of Columbia.
Okay,
and they're better than the news channels.
That was close for comfort for sure. I was on the front porch watching it, and you could see the clouds starting to turn like this, and I was like,
"So what'd you do? Just jump in the bathtub, like kind of?"
Yeah,
you watch it.
With a bottle of wine, that was what I was doing. I actually had some steaks getting ready to cook, so I was like, okay, I'm going to pause the steaks, go hide in the bathroom, and then yeah, ended up having steak for
my
dinner
kids,
after that.
we were actually going to go because we're about 4 miles north of where that is. So we actually we heard all the sirens were going off, and then I went out doing the dad thing and went to go look at the skies.
Yeah.
My kids were behind me making fun of me. Look at he's doing the dad thing. And then like literally 30 seconds later, they were out with me watching.
Yeah.
And then my wife came out and all of us just kind of watched the sky.
Yeah.
And we saw it way down yonder.
Jeez.
Yeah. That 2020 tornado was really close. I was living in Madison at the time.
Oh gosh,
and
that's right.
I was
March.
I had a little like makeshift studio, and my phone does not get the weather alerts for some reason. Don't know why. Never has. And I was mixing some drums, and I paused, and I could hear whatever, and I take off the thing. I'm like, man, what the hell is that? And it's the hail hitting the front of my house.
Yeah.
And then I turn on the Nashville severe
Weather
weather
tracker.
and they're like, if you're in East Nashville, Madison, Inglewood, like take cover. And I was like, oh shit,
wow.
I better do that.
My God.
And that one hit, not as close as the Columbia one, but it was probably 5 miles from my house.
That one was a
touchdown.
That was a nasty one too.
Yeah, well, that's the one that took out Steve's house in Mount Juliet. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
That was just before the freaking world shut down.
Yeah, then we had the tornado, and then I toured for like 2 weeks, and then COVID. I was off for a year.
Yeah, I remember being on the bus and my road manager, I was like, well, the show's canceled tonight. I was like, well, maybe I'll go to the gym. And he's like, I wouldn't go to the gym, brother.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go touch any of that stuff.
Yeah.
And, I was like, oh,
Crazy
okay.
times.
Ouch. So, man, you still got your folks?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Nice. And they got to be proud.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
They supported him.
You get back to visit?
Yeah, my mom, she's in Pittsburgh currently, and she'll come out and visit here, or we've gone out to California to visit her. And yeah, my brother lives in Berlin. I have another brother in Pittsburgh.
Now, what do they do
as well? My oldest brother works in car design.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And,
Nice.
my other brother, he works in, coding, IT kind of stuff. Yeah.
Smart.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're like, I drool.
Yeah, pretty much. We all grew up playing music, but I was the one that stuck with it.
Nice, man. So, hey, you mentioned retail, and, Jim could probably jump in on this. What is the training for a sales position at a Sam Ash or a Guitar Center? Like, do they talk about, sales techniques or like how to greet people and manners and like...
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Like, how long is the training?
I want to say it was maybe a week,
Wow.
like 4 or 5 days, or maybe 3 days, something like that.
Paid training?
Yeah.
Nice, okay.
And you're just in the back on computer going through modules, and like for the drum specific stuff, they go through like birch is this and maple shells are this and clear heads. So it kind of goes through the nitty gritty basics, which like as a, Fort Bragg is a very small, like there was no other, not really any other drummers in Fort Bragg. There's maybe 2 other guys that played drum set.
Oh my God.
There's not a culture for that up there.
Yeah.
And I knew as far as like how to tune or anything about gear, I really didn't know a whole lot when I moved out of Fort Bragg. So I learned a lot just working at Guitar Center, which I think was great.
And it's commission-based sales, right?
It is. So that's kind of brutal in the slow months, which I would say for drum sales, most months are slow months.
But could you sell other things? Could you go to other departments? Or?
Frowned upon.
Really?
Yeah, you kind of like everybody's in their own department. They might have changed it now. I know they have like those new small, like the micro guitar centers that like they sell everything in like one.
Like the one
whatever.
at Cool Springs.
Yes. Mm-hmm. They rolled those out when I was still working at that one in 2012 or whatever. But the traditional Guitar Center model is like you have your drum department, you have your guitar, have your pro audio, and people kind of stay in there to
Stay in your lane.
Yeah, pretty much. And
Wow.
now if like a guy was like buying a snare drum, it's like, well, I need to buy this mic or an XLR or whatever, then he can go get it and you can split up commission that way and stuff. And some dudes wouldn't care. And then, as far as commission based sales go, like the money's in pro audio actually. And a lot of people
Greg Glazer
would learn how to do that so they could go work in pro audio and sell, but for me, I was like drum brain. I was like, I just want to be around drums all day.
Yeah.
Remember when we had Greg Glazer on? That was a great episode.
Oh, we need to have Greg Glazer on, and Greg is,
that was my point.
I know
we never had him on, Greg.
But the thing is, Greg, if you're listening, we are talking about doing another Guitar Center clinic, because the one I did like 12 years ago was like super well attended. And he's like, man, that was the first time in Guitar Center clinic history. And there was a line. I was like, yes.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I was like, let's do it again.
And make him come on the podcast.
We're
crying out loud.
But yeah, they do talk about like the sales and the greeting and stuff too, for sure. Yeah. And I'd say like I learned a lot at that job about drums. I learned a lot about interacting with people. And then I also learned that like, all right, I don't think I want to work at Guitar Center for like.
Did you have some meanie people that would come in? Jerks?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And you get people that are just like pain to deal with. And, but there's also a lot of great, there's still people I'm still like Facebook friends with that'll check in every once in a while, like customers from, I was 18, 19. I was still very much a kid, and they'll check in like, hey man, it's so cool to see you doing your thing now. But I'm trying to think of like, probably the most memorable stuff would be people bringing in like obviously stolen gear. Like one dude brought in like a DW kit, or I think just a kick drum. And he was like, man, like I'd take $100 for it. We're like, yeah, you look a little sketchy,
Take it to a pawn shop.
Yeah.
I'll take $100 for a DW kick drum.
Yeah. And you're like, you don't know what you have. And then, another like one that I always remember is, this person bought a storage unit, like storage war style. Yeah. And there was a CB kit in there, and he knew nothing about drums. He came in, I saw him look. He's like, I got this drum set and the storage unit. He's like, I wonder how much. He's looking at like the $5,000 DW kit on the shelf. And I was like,
like $50, dude.
Yeah. I was like, I don't even think we bought it off. And I was like, we're not going to buy this from you. Sorry, man.
Amazing.
Wow. But I remember he was really excited.
CB700s?
Did they still make?
Tell you.
I don't know.
No idea.
Really?
I know I'm like really out of touch with like gear nowadays. Like people will ask me about stuff now.
What are you playing, man? What are you playing?
I got Ludwig Classic Maple.
Nice.
I got one at home. I got one on the road. The road kit's 14, 16, 18, 26. So Bonham sizes, in a olive green. They call it the Heritage Green, but it's an olive green finish. I love them. Awesome stuff. I got Remo heads, Sabian cymbals, Ludwig snare drums as well, using a mix of DW and Ludwig hardware.
Yeah.
And
Sticks.
Walmart drum rug. Oh, and Vater drumsticks.
Vater.
Yeah.
AVHs.
Using the Stretch 5As, or the 5A Stretch.
Alex Van Halen's drumstick company was Vater.
Yeah.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Let's make Andy Zildjian smile. Let's make Christian Stanky smile. What are you playing from Sabian?
Yeah, I got 16-inch HHX groove hats that you would have to pry from my cold, dead fingers if you wanted them. They're like
beautiful.
My favorite hi-hats I've ever owned in my life.
Nice. I've never had 16-inch HHs. Nice.
HHX.
That's funny because
HHX groove hats. Yeah.
Nice.
They're all growing in size. I remember 14 inches was the standard back when I was coming up. Now I'm playing 15s because, Rich was playing 15. I'm like, oh, that sounds cool. Now I'm like, dude, how big do we want these things?
I played 17s for a long time.
17-inch
I was
hi-hats?
really into Steve Jordan, like really dove into like all the John Mayer stuff.
Yeah.
So cool.
That Continuum record, right?
Man, I listened to it probably 4 days ago. I still listen to it like pretty, and any stuff with Steve Jordan or, Aaron Sterling on it, I'm listening to all the time.
Yes.
But the 16-inch HHX groove hats, doing the 21-inch Legacy Ride is a crash cymbal. I got the 22-inch Artisan Light Ride that is, I use the bell, but I crash on it all the time too.
Yeah.
And then a 20-inch, this one was a custom order, along with the 16-inch hats, was a Brilliant Finish Legacy Ride, 22 or a 20-inch. Yeah. So it's bright, but still got that dark thing. It kind of stands out a little bit more. That's definitely if I'm doing like a big accent or pop thing. That's the symbol I'm going for. The 21-inch is more of a less of a statement, more of a like, hey, we're moving into the next section. And that's what I tour with. In the studio, I have another like weird Dave Weckl prototype HHX Legacy that's like that's it's my favorite cymbal I've ever owned. That's another one that Chris McHugh actually wanted to buy it off me. He was like, man, like, this cymbal's awesome. And I was like, oh, I tour with it. He's like, you need to take that off the road. Like, this is like, should be for the studio. We were like in the Forks parking lot or something.
Yeah.
So shortly after that is when I ordered, had Chris order me the 20-inch Brilliant Legacy Ride. A little bit heavier than the one that I used to record with, but it works perfectly live. I got I think you play the HHX Legacy Heavy, or you did for a while. Yeah. I got one of those that I use in the studio, and this old like Asco ride cymbal, like jazz cymbal, that was from the Canadian Zildjian factory. So I think it's like Sabian, pre-Sabian.
Yeah. Don't crack that, man.
Yeah. That's for a very light touch. You
let the mics do the work. You don't slant. You're not.
I try not to. Yeah. Cymbals are too expensive. I'd rather buy more drumsticks and more cymbals.
Yeah.
Energy makes it to tape.
Energy does make it to tape. Yeah, but I mean, sometimes I get slack about, overplaying the cymbals.
Yeah.
But, does Nate Morton get slack for? I mean, he pounds them.
Yeah.
I'm just a sitting duck on the internet. Hey, let's do the Fave 5. What's your favorite color?
Favorite color? Man, I think green. I think that's like, I got the green drum set too. I've definitely flirted with blue here and there. I wear a lot of black, but I'm big on the darker green for sure.
The big green drum set.
Yeah.
That's right. Love it. Green bottom.
Have you seen my kit?
No. Let's do it. Let's premiere it.
Here, I'll try to multitask. So there's not too much dead
Jim
space
will
on here.
Go close on the camera.
Yeah.
Oh, no way.
Zoom in.
Here's
I'm going up your nose right now. Camera's right there. Let's see. There we go. Look at that.
Dude.
Yeah, those are big tubs.
Dude, big tubs. Yeah. 14, 16, 18.
Yeah.
Nice, man.
Yeah, I love the kit. Sounds great. Looks great. I will say probably the only time I'll tour with a painted finish though. Yeah. Because I've gotten a couple dings on it and stuff that like previously I was using like a black sparkle wrap kit.
Yeah.
And that thing has a couple scuffs and stuff, but you can't see it unless you're really looking for it.
It's character.
Yeah. It's a little too much character for how long I've had the kit. A couple like, clumsy
you guys are out there doing it, man. You're like doing the thing, man. What's your favorite food?
Favorite food? Steak. Yeah.
No, just all the time. You're paleo. It's great.
Yeah. No, I'm going to go home. I'm going to have like steak and hummus and Brussels sprouts for dinner.
Nice.
Whoa, dude. Great. What's about favorite drink? Favorite drink?
Alcoholic or non-alcoholic?
You can have one of both or.
Okay. Well, coffee all time for sure.
Love it.
Yeah. Favorite alcohol. I've been on a whiskey kick for sure. Yeah.
Like like that right there, or something a little bit more bougie, like some Woodford.
I do like the Woodford. My father-in-law has quite the bourbon collection, and we were tapping into his Blantons a good bit over the holiday.
Nice
that was really nice. Yeah.
That you have that with your father-in-law.
I hit him up. I asked him. I was like, "Hey man, like it's cool if we don't." He's like, "Oh no, dude, like that's what it's there for."
Yeah.
I have 4 bottles of it. I was like, "All right, cool." But yeah, usually the Woodford's my go-to if I'm buying a bottle. But yeah, man, I'm not too picky.
That's what you bring over our house, right?
Woodford? Oh yeah, sure. I'm never going to mail it in when I come to someone's house. Come bearing the gifts. What's your favorite movie of the moment, or something you always enjoy watching?
It's not a movie, but dude, game shows.
I
feel like I'm really cruising into my 30s here. I turned 32 in a couple months.
So young.
Yeah. So young. That's been man, probably for the last 6 months, maybe a year. Every night it's Steve Harvey, Family Feud. Can't get enough of it.
Is he not the best television host?
Man, he's so freaking cool. I'm like, man, that's like, there's not a long list of people that I will never meet or have dinner with that I would like to, but like Steve Harvey is up there.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Oh, he'd be like, come on, Zoltan, let's go.
I think it'd be fun.
He's an approachable guy who has earned his stripes and has worked for it. He's great at what he does.
Yeah,
I mean, really great.
Really, really cool.
What about favorite song or favorite song of the moment?
Favorite song of the moment, man.
It could be something is it off of the Continuum record? Is it?
It's not Different John Mayer, but I don't even know if he plays it live, but it's called In the Blood. And it might be Aaron Sterling on drums. Truthfully, not sure if it's him or Steve Jordan. Because I think they both played on that record.
Yeah.
But I mean, the song's great. The drums are just meat potato pocket. The drum sounds are just awesome. And the fills are just doom, 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 doom. And
that was the Ringo. Boom, 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 boom.
Every time I hear it, I'm like, man, this is like a perfect song.
Yeah.
So that's one I'm always jamming. I definitely go through phases of like, I'll over listen to things until like, then I won't listen to it for a year. But, that's the first
there's
song
literally
that
some
comes
songs
to
that just
mind.
over and over, and you're just on a kick, and it's just like.
Well, and we have like a Muscadine record come out. I'll like finally get to hear it mastered and everything, and I'll like way over listen just to like kind of critique myself. But
I'm glad that you listen though, because there's a lot of people that, like film actors would be like, I've never seen any of my films. Like supposedly Johnny Depp has never watched a daily. He's never watched a film.
Yeah.
How is that possible?
That's crazy to me.
You gotta
I'd be all
back.
over it.
Yeah.
And we do all our stuff to vinyl too, which is a really fun way to listen to yourself on a vinyl recordings. Like super cool.
Yeah. Well, we do that too, but it still sounds digital. You know what I mean? It's like, because it's not being cut to tape like the old days.
I know. We're not cutting to tape either, but we do have our, Ryan records through an analog board now. So the last record we did was, I believe, on an analog board.
Yeah.
And we get some cool sounds, and like the mixes sound great, and it's definitely fun to like listen to yourself back in a professional setting. Cause I still like most days pinch myself. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm like a professional drummer.
Dude, people are listening to you. People are living their lives to you.
It's weird.
People are coming to your shows, and they are partying, and you're taking them away from their troubles and their sorrows for that 90 minutes. It's a great thing. I'm so happy for you. I'm so proud of you. Jim, what's your question?
My question, as always, is so you have to pick a band that you grew up with or listened to or woodshedded to and make it a tribute. And you have to play it for the rest of your life.
Tribute band.
Tribute band.
Is it Kiss? Is it Journey?
But you have to, for the rest of your life.
Eagles.
That's all you play.
Eagles.
Yeah.
So Don Henley is one of the greatest, most musical drummers of all time.
Oh, yeah. Man, he's so good. Him and like Levon Helm's another one that I grew up with. I did not appreciate it growing up, and now I'm like, this stuff's so cool. I really wish I had like dove into this when I was 12 when I got my first drum set, but it took me 10 years to start thinking that stuff was actually cool. But I did see that the Eagles was my last show before I moved to Nashville. I went and saw the Eagles with my mom before I moved here.
Yeah. I took my mom the first week I moved here. I took my mom to the Grand Ole Opry. This would have been 1997. So it was a different period of country music, and it was a different Grand Ole Opry, but it was like we fell asleep immediately. So I'd always make this joke like, hey, a very expensive nap.
Yeah.
but things have changed, because then I went on to go play the Grand Ole Opry all the time with Pam Tillis, and then now with and so I got my fix there. Have you played it, the Grand Ole Opry?
Yeah. Okay. Actually, my first time playing it, talking about learning stuff kind of last minute, I subbed with a group called High Valley, kind of pop country stuff. I think the guy lives around here actually in Spring Hill. But I think I got the call like maybe 2 days before, and it's only 3 songs. But and we did a little rehearsal in the green room before.
And you got to get up on that hydraulic throne, and there's 2 rides.
And it was very strange to play. And luckily we got a sound check, so I got to like play the kit, at least kind of know what I'm getting into. But dude, I was sweating because I was using a headphone extension cable that I think it was Mark Beckett was a house drummer that night that he was not using. And the tech was like, oh, cool, man, we'll just leave it right here for you when you need it. I get up there, I said, 90-second changeover? It's quick.
Maybe.
That cable's nowhere to be found. And I'm playing to a click. I'm playing with a band I've never played with before.
What'd you do?
The dude found it, plugged me in. I counted off the song. It was literally, it was like that.
Yeah.
Plug in, count off, we're playing.
Had a similar experience.
I hated my life for those 90 seconds.
But that's the proof that there is a higher power, and he's got your back, because here we are, we're playing American Idol, Steven Tyler, and like all the folks are like staring right, boom. And Jason's got to sing with Kelly Clarkson, so they're both up there.
Yeah.
And our road manager, God rest his soul, the Wiz, he's like, it's not live, so don't worry about it. So we get up there. It is live.
Man.
And we've got the ears. And you guys ready? And 3. And I was like, there's no tracks. There's no Pro Tools. It's like, and 3, 2, ladies and gentlemen. And then it came on just in time.
It takes a minute. It took me a song to recover from like that panic.
Yeah.
If you're like, oh shit, like
because
I'm up here.
Your adrenaline's, oh my God.
Yeah. And you're like, okay, we're safe. We had some we played Windy City Smokeout. Muscadine did this last summer, and we had some insane technical issues during the set. And everything got fixed before the last song. And I was like, all right, just forget about it. And I think that's one of the things about like being a pro, they don't
being
really
a professional
talk about is like you have to play well and know the songs, but you also like shit just doesn't go your way sometimes, and you have to do your best to adapt. And definitely I'd say a constant learning experience for sure.
Hey, let me tell you what, buddy. This was a real thrill for me because I'm just proud of you, man.
I appreciate it.
You said I got to get out of this small town. You went to the big city. You got the skill set together. You were brave enough to move here. You're celebrating 10 years. You got an amazing gig. You're married. You bought a house. It's the American dream. Our friend Jason Sutter would be so happy if you got your
Jason,
investment. You got your real estate happening. Jim, he did it, man.
He did it.
And he's doing it.
Supportive parents.
What's the best place for people to find you? You got a .com? You do the socials?
Never made a website. That's one thing. I was like, I'm gonna do it next week for 10 years. I have a Instagram is Z Tobak, ZTOBAK.
Love it.
And that's pretty much all I do nowadays.
Just do the Instagram.
Yeah, I have Facebook. I check it out. I'll check it throughout the day, but like I probably haven't posted on Facebook in probably 2 or 3 years.
You're more just like a lurker.
Yeah. And like I watch, the videos and like the mindless entertainment, just like scroll through when you're in bed is like bad, but that's mostly where I'm
death
at there.
scrolling.
Yeah.
I like the animals. I like the interspecies friendship.
Hey, whoa.
Interspecies animal friendships.
We're not. It's a family show.
It's like when the monkey is.
No, I know what you're talking about. The horse videos.
Oh yeah, or like the ducks and the cats cuddling.
That's cute.
Where did my mind go?
That is so cute. Jim, thank you for all that you bring to this table.
Of course.
Yeah, it's a big one, man. With your skill set, we definitely appreciate it. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for making the drive. It wasn't so bad because most guys have to come in from Nashville.
Dude, 20 minutes down the road. I was like, man, we're practically neighbors.
Let's taco truck it up, and I'll time it. I'll come over to see your new build and have a steak.
Bruno's.
Oh yeah, I gotta do it.
You could come over to my neighborhood. Not a new build, but I'm fixing it up to look new.
There you go.
I love it. Hey, guys, gals, thank you so much for listening. Be sure to subscribe, share, rate, and review. And I mean, do it. Go to Apple Podcasts. Leave us a 5-star rating. Take the time to go, these guys are the best. I love listening to it. It helps people find the show, and we really appreciate it. We'll see you next time. Thanks, Zoltan.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Jim.
You're welcome.
We'll see you next time.
Guys.
This has been The Rich Redmond Show. Subscribe, rate, and follow along at richredmond.com/podcasts.